Hello everyone. This will be my last video in the Change That Sticks series. I really hope that you found this series useful and that you are able to apply the information to your own life as well as I was able to apply it in mine. Today's topic is our last and probably most important topic of the entire series. So far we've covered change, what it looks like, why it's difficult, and how to push past that. But today I want you to understand how real change and how habits actually work. A lot of the information we're going to go over can be found in the book, The Power of Habit. I am going to summarize what I learned from reading it and help you find ways to apply it in your own life starting today. So, let's find out how habits work and how we can use them to our advantage. The first thing we need to understand about habits is that they're actually made of three different parts. We have the cue, which stimulates us to do something. The action, which is the thing that we do because of the cue. And then finally the reward, something that we receive from the action that makes all of the work worth it and reinforces that action and habit in our mind. Our habits are made for multiple different reasons and they carry out multiple different tasks. The first purpose of habits is to streamline the system in our minds. That way we don't have to think about everything again, going back to that idea of decision-making fatigue. So habit building is a defense mechanism almost set up by our brains in order to keep our brains from being overextended. Habits are really, really useful. Unfortunately, not all habits are good. And we talked about a little bit of that before, but today what I want us to focus on is how to rewire those bad habits. That way we can get good habits that give us good results. It's not so easy to create an entirely new habit. However, it is easier to change a part of a pre-existing habit to make it work to your advantage. This can be done by changing either the cue, the action, or reward you received from a previous habit. When changing habits, it does take time and it is difficult, but the closer you are to the original habit that you are altering, the easier this process can get. If, for example, my habit cycle is I'm stressed, so I eat food, and my reward from that is I'm less stressed. This habit can be altered by switching my action. Stress can be relieved through food, but it can also be relieved through exercise. So now instead of eating when I feel stressed out, I start exercising. This exercise needs to be done to cure the cue. So I'm not going to exercise to put my body under more stress and to make me feel worse about myself. The exercise I do, any action I do, needs to respond to the original cue. But if I do it properly and my exercise relieves my stress, then I'm still getting the cue and the reward that I'm looking for just by switching that action and replacing it with something else. The reward is an extremely important part of habit building. We need, especially when we're just starting out with a habit, something to keep us working towards the goal. We need a vision, we need a purpose, a belief, something that gets us to continue our habit in the face of difficulty. And so, depending on your situation, make sure that the actions you're doing are for a purpose. Make sure that the habits you're setting are giving you some sort of reward. This doesn't have to be food or money. It can be mental health, less stress, feeling better about yourself. All of these things are so important to habit building, but make sure that you know what your habit is giving you and make sure that you focus on that reward and ingrain it in your mind, because as you do, you will come to expect that from this action, and then that habit will be more desirable to you and you will stick with it long term. Especially when you're starting out, you're going to want to look through your habits in advance. Think about habits you have that are least useful to you, and then try to come up with alternative habits that could serve you better. Like in my example about stress eating, it's really easy to replace that with exercise. Maybe you stay up late to get extra work done, but if you replace that with the habit of going to bed early, you would still be able to get your work finished and have more mental clarity to help you throughout your day. Examples like this are really good because they're just slightly changing what you do and replacing it with something else. But the results from that action will be really, really helpful. By having a plan for habits, we are also preparing for when our willpower fails us. So we'll be able to stick with this habit and reinforce it even when we don't feel like it. So make sure you have a plan for these habits that you're coming up with. Make sure you stick with that plan. And always, always, always remember the reason you're doing it. That belief is what is going to fuel this habit cycle and keep you on the path for success. Finally, I want to leave you with this quote. Either you make your habits or your habits will make you. Make sure that you are actively working to build habits in your life. Good habits, habits that will stick with you and help fuel success in your life. Because either way, your brain will be making habits. Make sure you are the one in control of those habits. Make sure you are the one deciding what becomes a habit and what sticks in your life. And then just make sure those habits are working for you. Find ways and find things that can make you better and stronger and more capable, because these habits are what is going to fuel your entire future. Even when it's difficult, stick with it. Believe in yourself. Believe in the power of your habits. Remember, it is just simply a cue, an action, and a reward. If you can find those 3 steps, you can make long-lasting habits. I wish you the best of luck on your habit journey. Thank you so much for joining me. If you haven't already, make sure you watch the other videos in this series, because together they give you a really clear idea of what habits and what change looks like in your life. Thanks again, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Keep at it.